We are the people， 老百姓。We gonna bury you， CCP。We are the people， 老百姓。We gonna bury you， CCP。
觀眾朋友大家好，歡迎收睇每日滅共新聞。我哋係消滅邪惡中國共產黨嘅新中國人。今日2025年1月8號星期三，而家係美東時間晚上11點，我係 Karen。1月7號，美國國防部將微信母公司騰訊列為幫助中共軍隊嘅企業黑名單。而郭文貴先生早喺2020年爆料表示，佢向美國各關鍵部門建議，要對騰訊、百度、阿里巴巴、思科、微軟等幫助建設防火牆嘅企業同個人絕對制裁，目的就係推翻中共防火牆。推翻中共防火牆唔單止有利於中國人民，更可以俾美國帶嚟巨大嘅經濟利益。請睇詳細內容。
我們正在整理，我們正在向美國參眾兩院、白宮以及軍方部門，我們要給他們提建議。推倒防火牆有3個核心。第一個，對中國防火牆所有的官員和公司，包括美國、全世界的，只要是幫助建國防火牆的人和公司，和現在還可能有幫助的公司，什麼芯片吶，什麼網絡呀，什麼百度啊，什麼騰訊吶，什麼阿里巴巴雲數據，所有這些公司，包括美國的什麼思科呀、微軟吶， 还有什么飞轮，一律是个人加公司绝对资产。第二条，技术上，谁卖给他芯片？台积电。还有美国现在谁还卖给他技术？谁还给他技术提供帮助？制裁。第三个，共产党的整个的市场，电商所谓的什么这些市场多少年？大家要记住，在过去几个月全世界停摆的时候，美国的前5大公司全部都是 Twitter、Facebook、Google、YouTube、苹果这些所有的电子企业，也就是网络企业前5，上升了几万亿美元。那么把共产党的这个防火墙摧毁以后，中国14亿的市场会给美国带来多大的经济和整个的股票市场的升值？我相信是几万亿美元，甚至更多。这就是我们让美国的国会议员、参众两院和人民要知道，你们不要被共产党所绑架，推倒防火墙，你们不用在桌子底下骗钱拿黑钱，还拿着几百个亿、几十个亿，你们拿到的是几万个亿、十几万个亿，干干净净。为什么不光明正大的做人呢？为什么偷偷摸摸的跟共产党鸡犬勾兑呢？这个非常重要。这几天来，每次我给每个人演讲的时候，他们都非常的振奋。我说，川普总统，你不要看那个中美贸易协议，加在一起几十个亿美元利润，几百亿、几千亿，胡扯的，那是几年的事儿，忽悠谁呢？对吧？你合计了干倒防火墙，你马上就是几万个亿，你的股市会上扬的。从来没有人说过，哇，他说没有人说过 ，Miles 你这个太好了，太好了，每个人都来跟我这说，哇，这个太好，我说这就是我们要做的。
韓國政局近期動盪不安，唔僅僅係地方政治嘅內鬥，更有中共嘅影響，試圖顛覆韓國嘅穩定。尹錫悅總統努力與日本修好，同鄰國日本合作抵抗中共，然而內部反對勢力卻意圖破壞呢一努力。中共正積極插手韓國內部，妄圖將韓國納入其影響範圍。呢個對國際和平與穩定構成咗重大威脅。請睇詳細報導。
This is the 3 centers of gravity in Seoul. So that center one, that's the office of the presidency. That's a very important one. It's right next to Yongsan, the old U.S. military, Dragon Hill Lodge, right there. That's where the office of the presidency is. The National Assembly is over on the left. That's Yeouido Island, and that's where Lee really holds power, and that's where he's really conducting this coup from, is the National Assembly. Now, just yesterday, they're 12 hours ahead of us, but a huge gathering. The new presidential palace is over to the right. That's where hundreds of thousands of South Koreans trying to stop the steal have been at, and they did effectively, because they're using the term insurrection. You can come back to me here, Denver. They're using the term insurrection. Well, they sent the corruption police. They have to redo this whole impeachment thing because it was based on the word insurrection. Sound familiar? Yeah, you bet they're taking a cue from the Democrat Party here in America. So this is the fight of their lives. And this is potentially buckles the whole right wing of the deterrence against China. And that's exactly why. So also, Yoon is actually really building bridges with Japan. There's a lot of hard feelings still from the Second World War. Totally understand that. That's not totally resolved, but he's reaching out to Japan. However, Lee is extremely anti-Japan and wants to break up that alliance. That's also what China is concerned about. So most of what's going on right now, this is a Chinese malign influence attempting to topple South Korea and really put it under, make it a enclave of China. So, Steve, this is so concerning and dangerous.
后来他们明白了啊，共产党在韩国经济渗透、政治渗透啊。等有一天韩国人民都闹明白以後，韓國人民會把共產黨當成最大的敵人對待。
美國中共問題專家張家敦先生喺討論有關台灣及中共黑客問題時表示，中共從未統治過台灣，絕大部分台灣人表示自己係台灣人，唔認為自己係中共國嘅一部分。台灣正在形成一種與中共國分離嘅身份認同。張家敦先生並且警告美國 必須具備足夠嘅防禦中共網絡攻擊嘅能力。請睇詳細報導。
Taiwan's defense ministry reporting that China carried out its first combat patrol of the new year today, with 22 Chinese military aircraft detected around the island nation. This comes after Xi Jinping warned that no one can stop China's, quote, reunification with Taiwan. That was in a New Year's speech on Tuesday. Xi claimed this, quote, people on both sides of the Taiwan Strait are one family. No one can sever our family bonds. Taiwan's President Lai Ching-te pledging to strengthen his country's defenses by boosting its defense budget. I want to bring in Gatestone Institute senior fellow and author of Plan Red, China's project to destroy America, Gordon Chang. Gordon, telegraph those comments from Xi Jinping. What was he really saying?
What he's really saying is that the quote-unquote reunification, which really should be unification because China has never ruled Taiwan, that's not inevitable. And by the way, the people in Taiwan do not consider themselves part of the Chinese family. In the last major Pew Research survey, 67% of the people on the island said they were primarily Taiwanese. Only 3% said primarily Chinese. And in the younger age cohort of 18 to 34, the numbers were 83 Taiwanese, 1% Chinese. I think Xi Jinping realizes that as time progresses, Taiwan is developing an identity that is separate and apart from China, which is the reason why Xi Jinping talks about inevitability all the time, because he just knows that it isn't.
You know, the Chinese state-sponsored actor who hacked the U.S. Treasury Department targeted the Office of Foreign Assets Control. So this is the office that issues sanctions and the office of Secretary Janet Yellen. All of this is in a Washington Post piece. Congressman John Molinar, who chairs the House Select Committee on China, he is demanding that Beijing pay for the hack, telling Fox News Digital, quote, it is time for Congress and the incoming Trump administration to impose escalating cost to deter the CCP. Are we behind the curve when it comes to cybersecurity? And how big of a threat are these hacks? Because the Chinese hackers are still emboldened.
Yes, well, they certainly are. You know, we have seen one major Chinese hack after another for decades. We are on defense only, and our defenses are not that good because the federal government doesn't mandate, for instance, that telephone companies, 9 of which have been hacked recently, that they have adequate defenses.
網絡媒體發達嘅同時，亦帶嚟咗虛假信息嘅氾濫傳播。中共利用 YouTube、Facebook、X、TikTok 等全球社交媒體平台，開設大量虛假帳戶，唔單止發布親共言論，仲利用 AI 製作虛假視頻，向台灣年輕人傳播虛假嘅信息，試圖破壞台灣嘅民主。請睇詳細內容。
为削弱台湾的社会信任和国际支持，习近平当局正不断加强以虚假信息破坏台湾民主的力度。而脸书、X 原推特以及针对年轻用户的 TikTok 等全球社交媒体平台，则成为中共主要战场。近年来，中共利用人工智能技术制作虚假视频，并通过 YouTube 创建大量虚假账户，发布亲共言论和极端信息，以达到美化传播该独裁政权的目的。同时，中共还通过渗透并胁迫那些在大陆有商业利益的台湾传统媒体来扩大其影响力。为此，中共党皇习近平在新年发言中再次恐吓两岸统一是必然趋势，并叫嚣外部势力无法阻挡其霸占台湾的野望。此外，为加强对台湾的军事包围，中共不仅频繁派遣战机、军舰和间谍气球进入台湾控制区域，举行模拟封锁或入侵台湾的军事演习，还不断提升海军和导弹部队的攻击能力，以期在冲突中打击关键目标，并抵御美国的军事介入。面对中共的多重威胁，总统赖清德在新年致辞中回应称，作为全球对抗中共、俄罗斯、朝鲜和伊朗等邪恶轴心的民主防线之关鍵，台湾将联合美國及其盟友，全面鞏固軍事防禦，以維護台海的自由與安全。
美國萊恩科爾博士話 FDA 批准針對過時變體嘅新型 COVID 疫苗係腐敗同邪惡嘅。克利夫蘭診所1年前進行嘅一項研究就表明，注射嘅疫苗越多，感染 COVID 嘅次數就越多。佢認為批准呢項計劃嘅人應該入監獄。請睇報道。
On August 22, 2024, the FDA actually approved a new COVID vaccine under the emergency use authorization. How did you react to that?
It's so absurd. It's just beyond logic at this point. Number one, the variant that they're covering will be extinct by the time it rolls out. You'll make antibodies that will actually make your health worse over time. The Cleveland Clinic study a year or so ago showed the more injections you get, the more times you get COVID. Just like Fauci's on COVID, his third time after 6 injections. It's suppressing the immune system. For them to approve this, follow the money. Our FDA is captured by the pharmaceutical industry. Almost half their funding comes from the companies that sponsor them. Same thing in Canada, same thing in other countries. So follow the money. I think the individuals who approved it should go to jail. Plain and simple. Those people that sit on the advisory board and voted for approval of this are not scientists. They are liars. They are. In science, we don't often use terms like evil, but this is nothing short of evil. This is evil, pure evil. And these people, they're afraid for their job. Gosh, if I don't vote for it, I won't have this job at the FDA. Well, you don't belong there anyway if you're approving something that's harmful to humanity. All risk, zero benefit, an expired product for a variant that won't exist by the time it comes out.
流行病學家尼古拉斯·胡爾舍爾喺採訪時表示，新冠疫苗絕對符合毀滅性武器或生物武器嘅定義。據估計，呢啲疫苗造成嘅美國人死亡人數比第一次世界大戰同第二次世界大戰以及越南戰爭嘅總和仲要多。請睇詳細內容。
Florida lawsuit seeks to prohibit COVID-19 mRNA injections because, quote, they are biological weapons of mass destruction, end quote. Can you tell me about this?
So he filed a lawsuit trying to pull these off the market there in Florida to stop Ron DeSantis from continuing the distribution of these vaccines. And they definitely do qualify as weapons of or biological weapons of mass destruction, because quite frankly, if you look at Dennis Raincourt and colleagues, his study, he found about 17 million people died from these injections as of September of 2023. So that's the equivalent of over 200 nuclear attacks back in the 1940s. And so this is horrible. I mean, this is most definitely a weapon of mass destruction when you look at the amount of death it has caused, and the number is probably even greater.
美國前國務院高級顧問克里斯蒂安·惠頓話，中共對美國嘅滲透十分之深，對美國基礎設施進行攻擊嘅呢啲黑客，好明顯係中共正在準備嘅所謂數字第五縱隊。準備喺同美國發生危機或戰爭時使用。請睇報道。
Joining me now is Christian Whiten, former State Department senior advisor. Christian, all right, what is China laying the groundwork for here? Water supply, electrical grid, now even consumer cellular information, government comms?
Right, Laura. Well, this is very clearly a digital fifth column that China is preparing to use if there's ever a crisis or war with the United States, if China makes a move on Taiwan and the Philippines, especially with the Philippines, a treaty ally. If we move to make a defense, then all of a sudden, you turn on your faucet and nothing comes out, or the lights go out, your phones don't work, there's critical infrastructure. This is nothing new as far as capability. The Israelis have used this against the Iranians. Once they turned off gas pumps in Tehran, another time they made sure everyone had left the plant, but then caused a fire at a steel mill. The question is, why is China being permitted to sort of do this against us, and why it's gained this credibility? Because the penetration really is very deep here.
Well, I think what's new is the fact that our infrastructure, despite our spending billions and billions of dollars and trillions on our security apparatus and our military, is this vulnerable. And the Wall Street Journal is also reporting, by the way, Christian, that some national security officials involved in the investigation said they believe the telecom hack is so severe and the network so compromised that the U.S. may never be able to say with certainty that the Chinese hackers have been fully rooted out. So again, everybody spies on everybody, Christian. But this is a level of espionage that seems very, very concerning given what's at stake with the size of their standing army and Taiwan in particular.
Right, and it's ironic or just angering that those same national security officials are some of the ones that are partly responsible, not just through sins of omission, being asleep at the wheel, focusing all of our defense forces on Ukraine, where I would argue there are no vital U.S. national interests, and neglecting the China threat. But it was actually the FBI itself, including the highly politicized imbecile Christopher Wray, who is on his way out, thankfully, to be replaced by Kash Patel, who was against encryption all along, who actually insisted that these telecom companies, Cisco was involved, Verizon is involved, AT&T involved, insisted that they have back doors so that law enforcement can conduct surveillance on the communications of Americans. And that's what the Chinese used to break into this.
We are the people, 老百姓 We gonna bury you, CCP。
跟住落嚟係一組每日新聞簡報。最近有多位專家先後警告，原以維穩為主要任務嘅中共國人民武裝警察部隊，未來好可能喺中共武力犯台過程裡面負責斬首行動，奪取戰略要地，甚至一旦解放軍奪台後，實施戒嚴統治。更值得警惕嘅係，武警嘅各種襲擊干擾，可能宣稱係警察行動，而非正式開戰，令有意援台嘅國家陷於兩難。中共官媒2號報導全軍新年開訓，各部隊按照任務屬性展開實戰化練兵。其中駐地喺福建省嘅武警第2機動總隊某支隊所展現嘅訓練畫面，係快速架橋以及衝鋒艇操作駕駛。美國駐華使領館消息，美國宣布限制向11家中共國公司同研究機構出口技術，理由係呢啲實體尋求使用美國受控技術支持解放軍嘅現代化，包括導彈同高超音速武器項目。美國強調，中共國冇權利用美國技術發展軍事能力。拜登政府承認，中共國黑客有能力癱瘓美國嘅電網同港口。國家安全顧問沙利文早喺1年幾前就已經知道中共國黑客有能力破壞關鍵基礎設施。2023年秋天，佢喺白宮嘅一次秘密會議上，向電信同技術高管發出警告，尋求大科技公司嘅幫助，嚟保護美國人嘅生命及基礎設施免受黑客攻擊。據信報報導，隨住川普將重返白宮，今年外界預估美國將對中共國下重手加徵關稅。各大銀行專家分析，人民幣可能跌破 7.5 嘅匯率，部分悲觀估計甚至跌破8。中共國長春市一家公司自製消費券嚟抵償工資，員工發視頻表示，辛苦3個月嘅工作換嚟一堆被限定使用嘅消費券。我哋重申，中國共產黨係全世界災難嘅根源，只有消滅中國共產黨先至能夠拯救全人類。感謝大家收睇每日滅共新聞，我哋下次再會。
畢業於985的重慶大學，1年過去了，我還是沒有找到一份像樣的工作。
中國的社會的失業、崩盤、斷供，
社區給我打電話，讓我快點就業。
共產黨在死亡前沒那麼容易死，共產黨一定會很瘋狂。
能不能把好運來關了？能。
幾千個家庭都在這兒等着你了。
土地都跟我說不發工資了。33歲，我倆都失業了。
失業了。
南京29所公私立的幼兒園都關園。
總人口數2年都在下降。
中国经济什么样了？你不知道。
深圳很多实体和企业都在面临着倒闭。
这2年大量的外资企业撤离中国。
中国有40家的小银行消失，被大银行合并或解散。
因为无法提款遭到了挤兑，这意味着江西银行基本上是爆雷了。
中职系现在爆雷了。
我跟你们说说，学校都给我们吃到了些什么？
整盆肉都是臭的，真丧尽天良的，真的很。
学生们也抱怨吃的都是僵尸肉和预制菜。
这就是无底店学校啊，给孩子吃狗食桶里的菜。
油罐车混运煤制油和食用油，并且之间呢没有冲洗清洁，这样的报道一出，引发了一片哗然。
所有的天灾到了中国以后，都变成人祸。
洞庭湖呢，它叫团州乡的这个院堤啊，7月5号呢发生了决堤。
更让人民愤怒的是，你堵不住堤防破口，政府就堵你的嘴。
我只能祈祷别下雨了。
湖南、河南海的善后，重庆又成重灾区。
湖北丹江口汽车全灭顶，河南的周口、南阳等地达到特大暴雨等级。
哇，一台车疯狂的撞上来呀！
在9月18日，一名10岁的日本男孩遭到一个男子的持刀袭击。
我们的很多人就是长期在这种仇恨教育之下，导致这种恶果。
自我革命，
自我革命，
把党的伟大自我革命进行到底。
自我革命就是文化大革命，走着看啊，这个事儿太大了。
2024年4月19日，信息支援部队成立大会在北京8·1大楼隆重举行。
保守国家秘密法修订通过，李尚福开除党籍处分，
决定对苗华停职检查。
猎狐2022专项行动加大反洗钱力度。14部门近日发布了关于促进人体器官捐献工作健康发展意见。
各位嘉賓、各位市民。
香港通过了23條的立法草案。
美國眾院外委會通過香港經濟貿易辦事處認證法案。
破產管理處公佈上個月提交個人破產呈請宗數係5個月以嚟最高。
2024-25財政年度嘅綜合赤字係1000億元左右。
西九龍法院呢，在今天對47人顛覆案作出判決，
廉潔奉公，竭誠為澳門特別行政區服務。
共產黨在死亡前没那么容易死亡，共產黨一定會很瘋狂。
感謝台灣人民共同寫下了民主的新頁。
So you think you can trust them?
前总统马英九访中行来到陕西，黄县世纪之握马习2会10号下午4点在北京人民大会堂东大厅登场。马英九办公室举办两岸交流。
这是我第3次到中国大陆访问。
柯文哲日前遭北检第10度提讯，
有人可能透过台积电替中国科技大厂华为生产 AI 晶片。
云舰9艘公务船现踪周遭海空域。
中华民国与中华人民共和国
互不隶属。 자유헌정질서를 지키기 위해 비상계엄을 선포합니다.
再来带您关心日本新任首相石破茂推动成立亚洲北约。
最高领导人金正恩在15号在会议上，他呼吁要修改宪法，要把南韩列为是头号敌对国。
这是一个金砖国家“一带一路”和邪恶轴心5国，是中国共产党安排的。
两国首脑共同签署了升级两国关系的全面战略伙伴关系条约。
有超过1万名朝鲜士兵在俄罗斯境内协助俄罗斯攻打乌克兰。
Першими боями з північно-корейськими солдатами。
伊朗总统莱西5月19号在伊朗西北部山区发生空难。
阿萨德铁腕统治宣告终结，叙利亚举国欢庆。
Our fight is your fight, and our victory will be your victory。
全天候。 中非命运共同体。
习近平将于10月22号至24号赴俄罗斯喀山出席金砖国家领导人第16次会晤。
整个是对抗西方、美国、欧洲，掐住欧洲的气和石油，干掉美国的美元，让美国物价经济混乱，配合3F 方案的一大块。
或骇客组织沿台风来窃取通话资料。
赵安吉死亡的消息由财新网在13日率先报道。
美国新泽西州最近 被神秘无人机事件困扰。
Thousands of Navy SEALs and service members impacted by the COVID vaccine mandate scoring a major win this week in court following a years-long legal battle.
The AstraZeneca COVID vaccine is being withdrawn worldwide after the pharmaceutical giant admitted it causes a rare and dangerous side effect.
Today, Kansas is filing a civil suit against the Pfizer Corporation under the Kansas Consumer Protection Act.
This is a state suing Pfizer.
The real verdict is going to be November 5th by the people.
Peter Navarro to 4 months behind bars for defying a congressional subpoena from
Merrick Garland, Lisa Monaco, the entire Justice Department. They're not going to shut up Trump. They're not going to shut up Navarro. They're not going to shut up Ben.
We will never back down, and we will never, ever, ever, ever surrender.
That Donald Trump will become the 47th President of the United States.
Take down the CCP. I gotta get Miles a song. Take down the CCP. Take down the CCP.
现在的武汉疫情就是一场战争，这场战争就是共产党打响了共产党的盗国贼和14亿中国人民的战争，然后用14亿人民在挑战美国的战争。这个东西绝对是来自武汉实验室。
Wuhan. Because Wuhan. I mean, the one lab that we're interested in here is Wuhan.
The CCP,
Chinese Communist Party, they believe they've gotten away with it. But inaction incentivizes the CCP to persist in secretive, aggressive, and dangerous behavior.
I'm not talking about the process.
I don't know.
Does it concern you that that U.S. taxpayer dollars would be going to someone who's a high-ranking Chinese PLA official? Yes or no?
So this is why CCP #1 take responsibility, give Chinese, give the America, give the West of the world, is the truth, transparency, information. Stop this rallies, go to all the global, kill all the American, all the another country people. This is the #1 reporting.
There can be, in our view, little doubt that China's government is primarily responsible for the COVID-19 pandemic.
That the Chinese Communist Party was conducting dangerous research, and this type of dangerous research was notionally supported by the NIH. I ask unanimous consent for a 2005 statement from the State Department that says China has a bioweapons program. Without objection, so ordered. I ask unanimous consent for a 2015 article by Dr. Ralph Barrick and Dr. Zhengli Shi of China, where they created a chimera of 2 bat-borne coronaviruses that gained function. Without objection, so ordered.
一系列的立法都在酝酿中，都会一个又一个的出来，是老天爷都挡不住的。
Listen bills. Number 1, the Joint Task Force to Counter Illicit Synthetic Narcotics. Number 2, the CCP fentanyl sanctions. And then thirdly, the international protection from PRC fentanyl.
The Biosecure Act will help ensure the biological data of American patients.
The Science and Technology Agreement Enhanced Congressional Notification Act.
The Russian Federation has become reliant on the People's Republic of China for a supply of semiconductors and other critical dual-use technologies.
The Countering CCP Drones Act.
Grown to be our greatest geopolitical threat.
That 2 CCP-aligned battery makers, Goshen and CATL, Cattle, are deeply connected to forced labor in the ongoing genocide in China.
On H.R. 55, 4, the Taiwan Conflict Deterrence Act.